Ford and Toyota dealerships serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Rotary Central, for more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. Fidelity Bank, for all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you. And Roper's Janitorial, complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. Today is Monday, the 9th day of December 2019. Christmas Day is almost here. The Christmas season is here, of course, and Christmas Day will soon be here. I trust that everyone had an enjoyable weekend. Those of you who felt the little tremor this morning as well, some did not. Trust that everyone is safe. No reports of any damage. It appears as if those tremors were felt in the Cayman Islands, Central America, parts of Central America, and Cuba as well. For those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands this morning, whether you're a pedestrian, whether you're a cyclist operating any type of motorized vehicle on the roads of the Cayman Islands, we again urge you to be extremely cautious. Please ensure that you observe the rules of the road. Remember, the life you save may be your own. For those of you who celebrated a birthday during the weekend, we want to wish you a belated happy birthday. If you're celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday. And if you're going to be celebrating one in the upcoming days, we want to wish you a happy birthday when it comes as well. And we urge you that whatever you do, please do it in moderation. That also applies to those of you who will be celebrating the holiday season, whether it be an office party or just celebrating with friends. If you're drinking, drink in moderation. If you're drinking, please don't drive. Use the services of a designated driver as well. And if you're a friend, please really be a friend to your colleagues. If you see that they have consumed too much alcohol and they're attempting to get behind the wheel of a vehicle, please stop them. At the end of the day, they may be angry with you for doing that. And most people, when they're inebriated and you try to tell them something, that's when they become even more adamant about it. But take the keys away from them. They will thank you and be appreciative of you the day after. You don't want a situation where you say, wow, had I taken the keys from that individual, this would not have happened. So please look out for your friends, your colleagues during this Christmas season as well. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. Our phone lines are always open. There is always someone there waiting to take your calls. Again, this morning, it is that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow, that toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Of course, if you don't like to talk on the telephone, email us at For The Record. That is one word, For The Record, at candw.ky. WhatsApp us on 925-3261, where you can send us a text message or leave us a voice note. And of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. As you know, it is the holiday season, and it is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning Mr. Charles Clifford, who is the Director of Customs and Border Control in the Cayman Islands. Also with us, Mr. Kevin Walton, who is the Deputy Director of Customs and Border Control in the Cayman Islands. And we will be touching on many subjects this morning, but in particular, they want to discuss the whole issue of receiving packages this holiday season, how to avoid delays whenever you're using a courier or if you're using a custom brokerage service as well. We will also be touching base and talking about the customs and border control, I should say, recruitment process. I want to talk about the merger with the Immigration Department, how that is going as well, and what expectations the users of those services can expect as well. So, gentlemen, without any further ado, good morning. Welcome back to For The Record.
Thank you very much, Mr. Connor. Good morning to you. Good morning to your listeners. Merry Christmas to everyone. I have with me this morning, as you've indicated already, Mr. Kevin Walton, who's the Deputy Director responsible for trade and revenue within Customs and Border Control Service. And as you indicated, we'll be touching on a number of subjects this morning. So we look forward to having that dialogue and receiving some calls so that we can answer any questions or queries from the public.
Certainly. And I just want to remind our listeners and viewers as well that we want to restrict the dialogue to the topic that we're discussing. But if there are any questions in relation to Customs and Border Control that we haven't touched on, if they have any questions in that regard, we certainly would be more than happy to entertain them as well. Mr. Walton, good morning, sir. Welcome back to For The Record.
Good morning, OC, and good morning to you listening public. Merry Christmas to everyone. And as the director said, we're here to discuss several issues, but mainly the courier and custom broker service as it relates to packages received during the holidays.
Okay, so let's start the discussion on that.
Okay, so because we're going to be focusing on that, we can come back to the issues later on.
Precisely, yes.
But if you remember, OC, sometime in 2017, I think it was, we had rolled out some changes to our IT platform. So we introduced a new IT platform that's been designed by our Computer Services Department to cater specifically to our needs in the Cayman Islands. And it's been rolled out in phases. So in 2017, we've rolled out the first phase in our collection section. And just so people will understand, the collection section basically is the section where individuals in particular would be importing goods through that section. Some businesses as well, supermarkets, etc. And so that was the first phase. And you might remember that when we came on the radio to discuss that, we said we fully anticipated there would be some teething problems.
Precisely.
And of course they were. It's difficult to implement change in any organization, in any society, but we undertook it with determination. And after a few months, I think everybody began to appreciate what we had done and realized that they didn't have to come into to wait in our hall any longer, and they could make their declarations online from the comfort of their homes or offices, and then simply come in to pay the duty on those goods and then receive them. The only exception to that, of course, being if the goods were selected for inspection, they would have to come in to witness that inspection. Right. So that process was fully embraced after some time by members of the public, and most members of the public is very complimentary now about that system. The second phase of the system was recently rolled out. The second phase of the program, I should say, was recently rolled out in our courier section. And that section deals with, the large couriers, FedEx, DHL, Sprint, UPS, those types of companies. And we have been in dialogue. I'm going to ask Mr. Walton to get into the detail now, but we've been in dialogue for the couriers for several months ahead of the rollout. And we, based on the feedback and the dialogue between us and them, we believe that everybody was ready for the implementation of the change. Mm-hmm. As it turned out, we've had teething problems with this as well on both sides. The couriers have been in dialogue with us constantly, and we're working with them, as I said, to iron out these issues. Mm-hmm. But there are certain things that we would like the public to understand about bringing in goods, and some basic things that we would ask them to do in order to make the process a lot smoother and quicker. Because at the end of the day, customer service is very important to us, and we want to make sure that we're delivering two things at the same time: effective border control and excellent customer service. And I think sometimes people lose sight of the fact that CBC is a border control agency. We're not just there to collect revenue and release goods. And we've proven over time why that is so, because we've detected so much contraband coming in through the various types of imports. It's important that we maintain that border control component of our service. But I'll stop there for the moment in relation to that, and ask Mr. Walton if he could sort of expand on what I've said.
Sure, Mr. Walton.
Yes, and I guess just to expand on what the director just said, if you notice, we had a recent seizure through the couriers just the other week. But I'll go back in time from 2017. Actually, we rolled it out in October 2017. And before we rolled out our first phase, we were in consultation with all of our stakeholders, trading partners, especially the couriers. They were part of the consultations, and we advised them that we were going to be going online with the couriers from then. We continued to keep in touch with them while we were working on our first phase in the collection section, which is air and sea cargo, which is the largest importing and business side of customs, obviously. But the couriers, although we may take it to be a small amount of imports, is actually the same amount. When it comes single decorations, they match the collection section evenly. Although the volume in packages imports is not as large. Nevertheless, in March of this year, we wrote them, we told them that we were going to be going live in August 5th. Two were ready. One had a bit challenges, so we stood it back up for a bit, and we gave them an extension to get their business in order for October 1st.
And how many entities are you dealing with there?
There are 4 entities.
4? Okay.
in comparison to 7,000 importers on the collection side.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, they have the same amount of imports. And I want to say that, we were running each month around 8,000 imports through the collection section. That doubled when we implemented the courier side of things. Since then, we have been working with them. The business models are very much different at this current time for as customs business module, customs border control business module versus the couriers. But together, in partnership, we are working to get that sorted. Technology, of course, is the way that we have gone. That's the way the world is going. And I must say that throughout the Caribbean, this is the same thing. And in most cases, there have been, these teething problems, as the directors described them, that we have to work out. However, regardless of the technology and the business models, one of the greatest challenges that we have, and I want the public to understand this, is that approximately 40% of goods imported in the Cayman Islands through the courier service arrive without any invoices. So you could process 60%, but the other 40% is hold up. And that causes a lot of delays. And it has directly to do with the businesses who are importing these goods through the courier service, or the individuals who are importing their goods through the courier services. The couriers don't have your invoices. You have them. So we are encouraging, importers who own these goods and are importing them, be proactive. Provide the necessary documents to your courier. If you know your goods are coming in 1 week from now, provide your invoices to them. And it's very important to understand that we accept suppliers' invoices and sales invoices. Commercial, suppliers' commercial invoice we do accept as well, but we require further proof of payment for several reasons, OC, because the way that those businesses operate, they operate on a credit base. So the cost of the goods estimated at one time very much change by the time the goods are delivered at another stage. So we require information, proof of payment to satisfy that.
Can I pause there for a second and ask you to give an example? Let's say, for instance, if I were ordering something from Amazon, 9 times out of 10 you don't get an invoice from Amazon in a package. But if it was coming directly to me or by way of a courier, then how do you take the corrective action to satisfy the requirements in terms of providing that invoice? We're going to ask you to think about that. We're going to take a commercial break. Okay. When we return, we can give that answer to our listening and viewing audience. Folks, please stay tuned. For the Record, we'll be back shortly. In the studio, we have with us the Director of Customs and Border Control, Mr. Charles Clifford, and his Deputy, Mr. Kevin Walton. So please stay tuned.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs. The Cayman Islands, he hath founded it upon the seas.
During the 1960s, a Mr. Ulrich McNamee came to Grand Cayman from Jamaica to work as a schoolteacher. After recognizing the need for an agriculture society, he set about starting one. Mr. McNamee, along with 10 Caymanians, attended the agriculture show in Jamaica. The group was treated well by the Jamaicans and were able to learn much, including seeing the stores where excess produce were stored and the benefits of their agriculture show. After returning home from the Jamaican Agriculture Show, Mr. McNamee, along with 15 Caymanians, started to meet on a monthly basis at the courthouse near Hogstye Bay. The meetings were held to discuss the growth of local produce and create the rules and regulations upon which the Cayman Islands Agriculture Society would be born.
Information from this historical vignette was sourced courtesy of Mr. Charles Lindbergh Eden, The History of Agriculture, 50th Annual Agriculture Show magazine.
Radio Cayman's historical facts vignettes are proudly brought to you by Cayman National, with branches on all 3 Cayman Islands. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
Your sale, your choice at Vat Motors is back. With the best Christmas sale on the rock, you can save, upgrade, or get cash back on new Fords and Toyotas, SUVs and trucks.
It is your sale, your choice at Vamp Motors. Save big on the new Ford Explorer, F-150, Edge, EcoSport, and Focus with up to $6,000 off select vehicles during December. Get huge savings on the Toyota RAV4, Rush, and Fortuner as well. Best of all, you decide if you'll take the full discount, get cash back, or upgrade your new ride. Vamp Motors. Drive home your Christmas wheels today.
Hello, boys and girls. It's Christmas story time at the Redley Powery Library in West Bay. Saturday, December 14th, starting at 10:30 a.m. Rotary Central Christmas Story Time, featuring Miss Izzy.
Hi, kids, and welcome to Story Time.
There'll be Christmas story readings, Christmas sing-along, Christmas dance-along, Christmas dressing up, Christmas cupcakes, Christmas snacks for the children. Remember, children must be accompanied by an adult. Christmas Story Time, a children's event sponsored by Rotary Central. Rotary, connecting the world.
Starting November 1st to December 31st, you can earn double points every time you use your Fidelity credit or prepaid cards. And with added protection of instant text alerts, 90-day purchase protection, and chip and PIN technology, you can shop with confidence. Fidelity. We're good for you.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. My pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning Mr. Charles Clifford, who is the Director of Customs and Border Control here in the Cayman Islands, and his deputy, Mr. Kevin Walton. Of course, it is the busy season for Customs and Border Control when it comes to the importations of goods into the country. And they're here to give you some advice, some guidelines in relation to the do's and don'ts, and also to update us on what's happening within Customs and Border Control. Mr. Walton, back to you, sir.
Yes, just before the break, you had said you were discussing about how we could Amazon, for example.
Yes, for using.
It's simply on their site, they provide you the necessary invoice, which you can download in PDF and provide that to your agent prior to your goods arriving.
Okay.
But there was one thing I didn't get a chance to say, which is very important, and the director reminded us just now, and that is courier system generated commercial invoices are not acceptable. And I want that to hit home. And that is basically where persons can go on the courier's website and create their own invoice. And those invoices we do not accept for obvious reasons. For the Christmas season, we have also decided to further simplify the processes for the couriers in order to allow the packages to cross our borders a lot quicker. That in itself is going to help speed up things. But in addition to you providing an invoice, you need to appoint an agent, legally appoint an agent. That's within the customs law. So if you're using a courier service, you've never used a courier service before, there's a form to be completed, and you need to fill that form out. And please make sure you sign and date it. Simple things like that make slow down things. In addition to that, provide a government identification, driver's license, or passport preferably, in color, because it's we get a lot of black and white photos, copies, and you can't see them. So that defeats the purpose of having a photo identification, obviously. And we encourage you to go through this process prior to your goods arriving. Don't wait until the day comes, because it takes up to 48 hours for us to be able to review those applications for appointment of agent. And we have known persons just as the goods arrive to submit those applications to us, and you must appreciate we have a lot more applications to go through. But once you appoint that agent, it remains there. You don't have to go back and reappoint that agent again when you comes in. So that's the first and the last time of appointment.
Okay.
And obviously, we're in addition to the border protection, we must protect the government's revenue as well. And we ask people not to omit or misrepresent any value of goods, because that's actually a criminal offense. And we try to avoid the handwritten invoices. because in today's the world, technology, most companies provide you with an electronic, a hard copy of your invoice. And don't assume that we don't know the value of your goods. You have persons who come up with ridiculous prices in the declaration, and that causes further delays, because what happens, and we seize the goods, and then investigation starts, and you take a while before you get your goods, and in most cases you end up paying double the cost of the goods when fines are applied. So in addition to the border security, we also have the revenue protection. And it's very important that we have these necessary information to make your goods pass the border smoothly. And our new way of processes is to balance facilitation and control. We don't want neither the two to be over the top or below the next. So having the necessary information for Customs and Border Control is very important for us to facilitate your trade.
Okay, now you painted the scenario where an individual is using a broker. Mm-hmm. Can you give us a scenario now where I, as an individual, decide to do the processing myself?
Okay, so just before Mr. Walton answers that question, I just wanted to say that the agent authorization form that Mr. Walton referred to is available on our website. So that's cbc.ky for anyone who's interested in that. I just wanted to make that point.
Excellent.
And that's a good question, Osi. You'll actually avoid that agent authorization. You'll save yourself some time. We have persons who prefer to and businesses who prefer to make their own declarations, because the way that the system is set up is so efficient. So we have a lot of persons who make their own declarations and submit their declarations to Customs and Border Control, and sit down in their homes and enjoy the time until we clear your packages. At one stage, we were running 1 day in clearing packages, and we got it down to 1 hour.
Wow.
Yeah, and I had a testimony the other day. There was a lady, and I don't know if she's listening, she maybe remember what I said. What she said to me, she says, I had 4 declarations, Mr. Walton, and I was submitting each one individual because they came from different suppliers and they were different arrival. She says before I got through the second one, the first one came through and said it was already cleared. But because it's the Christmas season now, we have a lot more decorations, so the time has now, it's not as quick as it was 1 month ago. So don't expect that 1 hour turnaround at this time of year, because there's a lot more decorations coming in. And submitting using the system is very user friendly. We continue to increase our performance of the system, because we did have some issues with some of the performance as far as the speed was concerned. And we have, working with CSD, that's Computer Services Department, they have been, phenomenal. They have assisted us along the way in every way with this. And they have increased the performance speed of the system even more. But it's very important for you as a business or an individual to have the internet speed yourself. Especially if you uploading several hundred decorations, you can't expect to sit down there with 10 megahertz and upload 300 decorations within a quick period of time. But there's 2 ways of using our system. You could use the wizard, which is sit down and you go through it manually. That's mostly for individuals or small businesses. And then there is the XML upload, which is for large business decorations. We have many lines of tariffs, for example, or they're for like couriers who are making a declaration of 300 individual imports. That XML upload automatically allows you to just upload the declaration to us without it sitting down and doing one by one by one by one. And unfortunately, 1 or so of the couriers were doing that. But most of them now have gotten their XML and they're working towards, improving their efficiencies. So they don't have to sit down there for a whole day or a whole night and try to put in 300 decorations when they could just press a button and upload it straight to our system. Okay. So some of them or most of them now have gotten to the XML, and I think there's 1 more that's working to get their XML up and running.
Okay. Very quickly before we go to our 8 o'clock news, you did mention the fact that testimony that you got from 1 individual using the system, and you mentioned the fact that you said by the time I had actually started to input the information on another item or whatever that the message came through. So there is automatic notification to the customer once they submit it. I'm just trying to get our listeners to understand how your system is working now.
Yeah, well, you have a dashboard, and it's specifically to you as a user, and it will show you decoration submitted, and then it'll show you that decoration has been assigned to an officer, and then it'll show you that your decoration is being processed.
Okay, so you get an audit trail all the way
through?
Yeah,
you got an audit trail throughout. And, I've had a gentleman come up, an elderly Caymanian man that I know, and he says, Mr. Walton, this is the best thing since sliced cheese.
So the system is very, very efficient, as Mr. Walton has said. Of course, there are going to be individuals who might either not submit all of the required documentation or may submit something that we believe is fraudulent. In those cases, of course, there's going to be a delay. We have a fraud section, that deals specifically with cases of suspected fraud. So if you're not being honest about your declaration and it's referred to a fraud section, that's a much longer process. And I think the public understands why. Right?
Okay, all right. We still have some time before we go to the news. Just mention the fraud section, and I know we're going to touch on recruitment later on, but just to say, based on what I'm hearing, it seems as if there are several specialties and skills within Customs and Border Control that you're looking for when it comes to recruitment.
Yes, of course, we not everyone that comes to us in the recruitment process are experienced in law enforcement. We do have some people coming from other agencies who already have significant law enforcement experience. But yes, we have units such as a fraud section, we have a canine unit, we have a drug interdiction unit, or we have to rename it now that we've merged, but it used to be the Customs Narcotic Enforcement Unit. And more recently, we've established an ANTIM and a laundering unit. So yeah, there are opportunities for people to specialize within the Customs and Border Control Service. We'll expand on that after the 8 o'clock news.
Certainly, folks. Yeah. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time by Price Right is a minute after 8.
Price Right is Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore, making your dollar go further with huge savings and no membership fees. Get more of the things you use every day at the right price. But it's not just grocery and health and beauty. Price Right has a full range of products from office to automotive, patio furnishings to kitchen appliances, and even electronics. And since warehouse prices mean savings for you, everything is priced right at Price Right, Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by Sagicor. Let us put a smile on your face. Call 949-8211.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Island.
Good morning. It's time now for Radio Cayman's 8 o'clock morning news. I'm Dion Anglin. An earthquake was felt in the early hours of this morning on Grand Cayman. The United States Geological Survey reported that the earthquake was a magnitude 5.2, which occurred at 1:12 this morning, about 47 miles east of East End. Residents of the eastern districts took to social media to report that they felt the entire homes shake for about 5 seconds, with others commenting on the thread that they thought they were the only ones to feel it. No tsunami alert appeared to have been issued. According to the USGS, the quake was felt in the Cayman Islands, Honduras, and Cuba. Representatives from the Governor's Office, Hazard Management Cayman Islands, and the Ministry of Home Affairs were in St. Martin this week. SEDIMA Caribbean Conference on Comprehensive Disaster Management. Matthew Forbes is with the Governor's Office.
As we previously announced, Cayman is in the process of joining SEDIMA at the moment, so this is the first time that we've attended one of these events. And we're here to meet all the other people that are also members of SEDIMA and to learn from some of the experiences that we've seen from the region, in particular from some of the islands that have been struck by hurricanes in the last few years.
Danny Coleman with HCM tells Radio Cayman some of the topics they discussed at the conference included community resilience building, relief and recovery, as well as safeguarding livelihoods.
In keeping with Hazard Management's recent projects on the National Emergency Notification System, we've also been covering that topic. And one of the really exciting things, again, is looking through a different lens, such as differently able persons, gender roles, and so forth. So it's been a really interesting conference. Yeah, we look forward to joining SEDIMA and becoming members.
SEDIMA is the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, whose primary responsibility is for the coordination of emergency response and relief efforts to member states. In other local news, the search is on for new Heart Heroes for Cayman's 2020 Heart Heroes Brunch. Details now from Radio Cayman's Shanta Gallego.
Cayman Heart Fund is looking for new honorees for next year's Heart Heroes Brunch. Every year, Cayman Heart Fund honors selected number of Heart Heroes at the Heart Heroes Luncheon, and they need you to nominate your favorite Heart Hero. CHF founder Susie Soto says CHF strives to bring the community awareness about the importance of living a healthy lifestyle. The Heart Heroes Luncheon, which started back in 2016, celebrates those who have gone through cardiac problems and their journey. She says it is your heart, it is your pump that keeps you going or not. Photos are on the Heart Heroes wall at the Georgetown Hospital, honoring those who have taken the journey. She encourages all to think of someone to nominate. The 2020 fundraiser will be Heart Heroes Brunch, held on Sunday, February 16th, 2020, at the Restaurante Pappagallo from 11:30 a.m. until 3 p.m. The theme is Music from the Ages, Costumes Welcomed. Seating is limited, and you're encouraged to get your tickets early. You've got until 5 p.m. on December 31st to nominate your favorite Heart Hero. Shanda Gallego, Radio Cayman News.
Thank you, Shanda. In regional news, Dominica's Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, who was sworn in for a fifth time as the island's Prime Minister on the weekend following Friday's general election, says he will announce his new cabinet on December 17th. The confirmed marginal victory is 18-3 after recounting the Castle Bruce constituency, which saw the seat going to first-time Octavia Alfred. Observers from the CARICOM and the Organization of American States have all declared the elections free and fair and said it reflected the will of the Dominica people. Head of the OAS mission, former Bahamas President Dr. Hubert Ingraham, said they were satisfied with what they witnessed.
We are here to tell you that we observed the electoral process and that we are satisfied that on election day, the people who voted, their votes reflected the will of those who voted. That is our conclusion. That they came in. They came in, there were poll workers from both parties, and they cast their ballots, and the ballots were counted.
Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit said the way the elections were conducted demonstrates that no one can contest what the will of the people were.
And everybody, I must say, was respectful of each other at every polling station as far as the reports reaching me state. And there are people who stood in the line for 5 hours patiently waiting to vote. And take into consideration the threats of violence and actual violence, many people did not expect us to have a situation where people would be able to go to the polls, have access to the polls. But no one in this country was impeded from going to vote and voting for a candidate of his or her choice.
And now for a look at what's happening around the world, here's the BBC's David Harper.
The New Zealand authorities say they believe there are no more survivors on Fukari White Island after a volcanic eruption early on Monday. 5 people have been confirmed dead and 18 have been evacuated. About 50 people, mostly tourists, were thought to have been on the island at the time. Police say it is too dangerous for rescue teams to land. Aerial reconnaissance has found no signs of life.
That'll take us out of Radio Cayman's 8 o'clock morning news. I'm Dion Anglin.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by Sagicor. Let us put a smile on your face. Call 949-8211.
Think about something that makes you happy. Did it make you smile? We know it did, because that's what we do at Sagicor. Put smiles on our clients' faces every day. With a large range of products to cover your family, it's no wonder most locals choose Sagicor for their life insurance needs. Serving the community for over 25 years. Let us put a smile on your face. Call your Sagicor advisor today.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
It's the season to be jolly. Ho, ho, ho!
go! Dollar Superbuy has just received a shipment of new stock, which will make your season jolly. There is something at Dollar Superbuy for the entire family and all at unbelievable prices. Christmas decor, perfumes, hair accessories, novelties, toys, home decor, unique gift items, and a whole lot more. New stock is arriving every week, so stop in at Dollar Superbuy where you can stretch your dollar with great quality items at affordable prices. Dollar Superbuy, number 12 Plaza Venetia, North Songway. Open Monday to Saturday, 9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. The management and staff of Dollar Superbuy would like to wish you a Merry Christmas and God's richest blessings for the new year.
The Weather Report is proudly sponsored by Super Stitch Sewing and Fabric Center, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasador Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky. New stock has just arrived at Super Stitch. Now don't take my word for it. Drop by and see for yourself. Fresh off the boat, we have loads of fabric, vinyl upholstery fabric, fabric for cushions, outdoor fabrics, and dress fabric. That's not all. Super Stitch has sewing accessories and craft items. Included in the new shipment, you will find sheets, comforters, throw pillows, bath mats, rugs, and curtains for every room in your home. Super Stitch, 39 Pasador Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best price in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
That's a good morning. Let's take a look at the very latest weather report. Synoptics indicate moderate northeast winds and seas expected to continue for the next 24 hours as a ridge of high pressure remains across the Gulf of Mexico. Radar images show isolated showers within the Cayman area, which are moving towards the southwest. Now, the forecast for the Cayman Islands for today calling for partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of showers. Temperatures will be in the mid-80s. Your winds will be northeasterly, 10 to 15 knots with higher gusts, and seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Forecast for tonight calling for partly cloudy skies with cloudy spells and a 30% chance of showers. Temperatures falling to the low 70s tonight. Your winds will be east to northeast at 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Today's high tide will be this morning at 8:29, low tide this afternoon at 2:29, and a high tide again tonight at 7:26. The sun will set this evening at 5:46 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6:49. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Wednesday morning.
Super Stitch Sewing and Fabric Center was the proud sponsor of the Weather Report, your one-stop shop for all of your household items, craft items, jewelry, beads, and decorations, and much more. Call Super Stitch at 949-2833 or email customer care at superstitch.com.ky. New stock has just arrived at Super Stitch. Now don't take my word for it. Drop by and see for yourself. Fresh off the boat, we have loads of fabric, vinyl upholstery fabric, fabric for cushions, outdoor fabrics, and dress fabric. That's not all. Super Stitch has sewing accessories and craft items. Included in the new shipment, you will find sheets, comforters, throw pillows, bath mats, rugs, and curtains for every room in your home. Super Stitch, 39 Pasador Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best price in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
It's a celebration under the stars with Christmas at the Castle this Sunday, December 15th. Gather with friends and family on the Great Lawn at Pedro St. James Castle from 6 until 10 p.m. and celebrate the reason for the season with Christmas carols, praise and worship, storytelling, a visit from Santa, and a tree lighting ceremony. Enjoy local food and drinks on sale and a most memorable night at Christmas at the Castle this Sunday, December 15th from 6 until 10 p.m. Admission is free. For more information, call 947-3329.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Good morning once again. Let's take a look at traffic. Bumper-to-bumper traffic coming from the east, especially on the Linford-Pearson Highway. Also coming off the Linford-Pearson Highway on Agnes Way, traffic is also busy. And steady traffic on Crew Road, some section busy, and traffic also steady coming on the Esterly Tibbetts Highway towards the Butterfield Roundabout. light traffic on Owen Roberts Drive, and traffic is moving along pretty good on Shedden Road and Edward Street. Coming from the West Bay four-way stop, light to moderate traffic flow. And coming off of Bobby Thompson Way, traffic is busy. If you see any accidents or incidents on Cayman's roads, give us a call here at Radio Cayman, 949-6990. Have a good morning and buckle up.
Do you ever have those days when you have to get a super early start, or you're out late and want something fresh and healthy to eat? Subway has now opened their 4th 24-hour location for you early birds and night owls. Subway at West Shore Center on 7 Mile is now open 24 hours. So now you can grab any of Subway's fresh menu items any time of the day at 4 convenient locations. West Shore Center 7 Mile, Countryside in Savannah, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers West Bay. Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Williams Production presents Linda Randall in concert at the Lions Center Tuesday, December 31st. All supporting the NCBO and the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens. Tickets are only $25 pre-sold, $35 at the gate. Purchase your tickets now at the Cayman Islands Conference Office, Christian Enlightenment Center, and Funky Tanks. Also appearing Dunneelan's. All brought to you by the Office of the Premier, Cayman First, Health City Cayman Islands, Value Med Pharmacy, Ministry of Health, Environment, Culture, and Housing, Hides and Son, Tony's Toys, Burger King, Cayman Airways, the Physiotherapy Center, Praise 87.9 FM, Radio Cayman, and the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism, and Transport. It's Linda Randall in concert, Tuesday, December 31st at the Lions Center.
It's still God in the valley.
Need a prescription filled but you're on the go? No problem. Healthcare Pharmacy is now on WhatsApp, 329-7313. You can request your prescription medicine or refills, and even a prescription transfer from another pharmacy. Simply WhatsApp a photo of your prescription for us to fill till you arrive with the original. Have questions? Our pharmacists are happy to help. Collect your filled prescriptions at Healthcare Pharmacy in Governor Square or Grand Harbor. Go on, WhatsApp us on 329-7313. Healthcare Pharmacy, we care about your health.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have in the studio with us this morning the Director of Customs and Border Control, Mr. Charles Clifford, Deputy Director of Customs and Border Control, Mr. Kevin Walton. Received a WhatsApp message from one of our listeners, and it says, "Good morning, OC. I would like to ask the director how can he justify charging over $30 US on $30 on a US dollar item. I think that in some cases people are being overcharged by customs." So I did ask the writer to kindly elaborate, and they have said that I ordered a cartoon CD for my little girl, and the item was only US $7. I was charged almost $30 CI, not including the charges of the airfare or the agent that brought it in. I got it from Amazon.
Okay. Thank you very much, OC.
Sure.
First of all, let me say that the rates of duty that we apply to goods come from the customs tariff law. So we have a customs tariff law that assigns rates of duty to various items, and we work in accordance with that law. It's important for the public to remember that Customs and Border Control is an enforcement agency. We don't write the laws, we simply enforce them. Now, it is also important for members of the public to remember that duty is paid on not just the cost of the goods, but cost, insurance, and freight. during the break we had a brief discussion about the message that you just read. So I know that Mr. Walton wanted to expand on that as well. But it's important to remember that cost insurance and freight is what you're paying duty on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there are also some other charges as far as the handling charges for Customs and Border Control, as far as the package tax and warehouse fee that is paid for landing those goods in the Cayman Islands. But you're saying that they're saying it didn't include the courier charges.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I would like to really see more detail of that particular import. If the person who sent you that message could send me an email.
Mm-hmm. Can you provide your details so that they can?
Sure. I would like to look into it a little further so I can get a better understanding. My email is kevin.walton@gov.ky. kevin.walton@gov.ky. She could send me an email and provide.
Not sure if it's a he or a she.
Sorry. I guess. But she could provide the necessary documents where she paid the duties on it as well, so we can have a good look at it. Because in most cases, the courier will include the custom duty, package tax, warehouse fee, as well as their charges in the bill that they give you. And sometimes you will think that it's just the custom duties that cost that, but it's actually the courier charges that is also included in that bill that they give you. But obviously you see custom duties, and that's the first thing that stands out. But as the director said, the duties are applied based on a tariff, and majority of the goods that are landing here is 22% of the cost, insurance and freight for shipping, and that's how duties is charged. So I would like to really see what she.
Okay.
Well, we want to also thank that person for sending in that message, because that's really why we're here this morning, to answer questions and queries and concerns that the public might have. Precisely.
Do we want to go over some of the do's and don'ts that you want to get across to our audience as well?
Yeah, I think that is worth repeating. Yes. Some people may have missed it earlier, so I'll ask Mr. Walton if he could just go over those items again.
Yes,
I will. But I just want to say, for the Christmas season, we have further simplified our processes for the couriers to import goods, so that we make sure that persons receive their packages during the Christmas season. It's important that the public understand that persons importing goods also have a responsibility. It's not just leave it on your courier or your broker agent to do your declaration without the necessary information. And with that said, 40% of goods arriving through the courier packages arrive without any invoices. And for us to be able to apply the necessary tariffs, we need to have those invoices. And it's important that we provide the proper invoices for Customs Border Control as well, which is the supplier's invoice or the sales invoice. If you have a commercial invoice, supplier's invoice that has been provided to you, we ask for further information as it relates to the proof of payment, because in a lot of cases, those invoices do not reflect the total value of the goods, because sometimes you get them on credit. And when you get them on credit, it is an estimated cost that's given to the supplier, to the importer. And there are other charges that follow behind, as far as inland shipping and other handling charges. And sometimes the cost changes based on market value. But it's very important that the public understand we do not accept courier-generated commercial invoices. Those are not accepted. The courier system allows persons, the importers, anyone, to go online and generate your own invoice to provide to Customs and Border Control. And you could imagine how that works out for us.
Okay, we have one caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Interesting topic today.
Thank you.
I was just wondering, with regard to the import of goods now, apparently with the courier services, it seems that the blame is going on customs why goods are being held up and taking so long to clear. So I am not sure who is right or who is wrong, whether it's the couriers or whether it's customs. And I understand what he's saying about the the necessary invoices coming from the actual vendor. So I don't know if they have any word on that.
Well,
Because definitely the courier services are saying that the holdup is because of the new system that Customs has brought in.
Well, thank you very much for that comment, caller, and question. Let me just say that we are working really closely with our couriers and customs brokers to iron out the issues and the concerns that they have. But let me also say that it's very easy for someone on the other end of the phone to say, hey, customs is holding up your goods, when in fact that isn't the case. And I'm not saying that to say that none of the delays are on our side. Of course, sometimes the delays are on our side, and I mentioned earlier some of the reasons why that may be so. If there's a suspected fraudulent invoice, or if someone hasn't prepared and presented all of the required documentation, it can create delays. But we seek to reduce those as best as we can. And I can tell you, in addition to that, our officers are working substantial amounts of overtime, especially during the busy season, to cater to the increased demand. So what I would suggest is that when you hear those types of comments, perhaps someone can get in contact with one of our CBC officers to find out exactly what's going on. I can tell you that sometimes I feel myself like a call center. I receive so many calls in relation to items which are delayed and which some of the companies have indicated is being held up by customs. And I can also tell you that the majority of times when I check into those complaints, the goods have already been cleared by our officers and are simply waiting to be collected by the courier section for onward delivery to their customer. So that's the reality of what I've found on the ground. The majority of cases that I've investigated, the delays were not on our side. And I can't really take it beyond that, but Mr. Walter may wish to add to that.
Yeah, and I was getting into the 40% of courier goods that are imported. And that's a huge amount of goods that are imported without any proper invoices or invoices, period. And that is where the importer comes in with partnership with their custom broker or their trader to provide the necessary invoices to their agents so that when their goods arrive, it is a smooth transaction of cross-border. And you need to be proactive. You have to take responsibility as an importer yourself. And I think I was explaining earlier to you, OC, that we need to understand that when we have a consolidated shipment, for example, a container, which arrives are imported by a consolidator and who are also custom brokers, you could have up to 200 to 300 imports in that one container. And if one importer do not have the necessary documents, it holds up the other 299, and that's the way it is because it's one container. We can't just release 299% of the container across the board and hold the other 1% because we can't get into the container. We can, but it would cause a mass confusion at the Port Authority. But the good thing is with the couriers, the couriers import them in bags and packages, so we could release those 299 and keep that one package behind, and that's what happened in most cases. But a lot of our delays is caused by not having the proper invoices. There are other issues and as far as the change in business model, for example, with the couriers, because there's a change for them. And for the callers understanding, we have been in consultation with the couriers over 2 years and moving themselves in this direction. And they are moving themselves in this direction. We did have teething problems with our when we first implemented in 2017, October 2017, which was a big topic just before Christmas. I remember that as well. And we did have teething problems, and we worked through those teething problems. And today, the system far as imports are concerned through our collection section is a smooth transaction. But it's very important. There's certain things that you need to ensure when you do use a custom broker. You got to determine, what's their technology far as the internet speed. What's your internet speed? How fast your internet is? Because you have to upload a 300 declaration. Are you using the wizard or are you using an XML file? That's questions you should ask your broker to determine how efficient that custom broker is in submitting declarations. and you could ask.
So you have to really shop around. And the answer then for that caller, you still there? No, that caller's left. But the answer then for similar questions like that, if people are being told that the holdup is with customs, there is a way for them to contact to see whether or not that is the case, to verify it.
Yes.
Okay.
We encourage them to contact us. And the director said he gets a lot. He's like a call center now.
Everybody still has my number, so they call me. But also, I wanted to add to this too, and we'll get into this perhaps in a little more detail in a while in relation to the merger. But we have said repeatedly in relation to the merger that this agency is moving to an intelligence-led risk management organization. So that's a completely different approach, and what that requires is much more detail in terms of the information that we're looking at in order to separate goods that are suspected goods from those that are not. That's essentially the modern way of doing business. That's what we're going towards. That is very much underpinned by IT and the new platform that we're rolling out. So there's no turning back at this point. We know that we have to continue to assist our couriers and customs brokers, and they are our partners. We continue to work closely with them. I think this experience is going to be just like it was in the first phase, where in a few months' time, people will be referring to it as the best thing since sliced bread again.
Okay. Miss Susan, we have 2 callers. Can we grab one caller before we go to the break? No. So I just want to alert, we have 2 callers and hold. Callers, don't hang up. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we return, we're going straight to the phone lines. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Starting November 1st to December 31st, you can earn double points every time you use your Fidelity credit or prepaid cards. And with added protection of instant text alerts, 90-day purchase protection, and chip and PIN technology, you can shop with confidence. Fidelity. We're good for you.
Hello, boys and girls. It's Christmas story time at the Redley Powery Library in West Bay. Saturday, December 14th, starting at 10:30 a.m. Rotary Central Christmas story time featuring Miss Izzy.
Hi, kids, and welcome to Storytime.
There'll be Christmas story readings, Christmas sing-along, Christmas dance-along, Christmas dressing up, Christmas cupcakes, Christmas snacks for the children. Remember, children must be accompanied by an adult. Christmas Storytime, a children's event sponsored by Rotary Central. Rotary, connecting the world.
Heading back to school and not sure how to pay for it? The Peter N. Thompson Family Foundation and the University College of the Cayman Islands are seeking scholarship applicants for students studying in areas of liberal arts, social sciences, and the sciences. Receive up to $2,500 in financial aid to cover the cost of tuition, fees, books, and supplies. Up to 14 scholarships to be awarded for the 2020-2021 academic year. Applications accepted until December 31st, 2019. Call 623-8224 to start your UCCI success story today.
Attention BRAC community. Workforce Opportunities and Residency Cayman is hosting a registration drive for the new online system, Jobs Cayman. Interested persons needing help in finding employment can come to the Cayman BRAC Library on December 9th from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. and register with customer care representatives. A demo presentation for employers starts at 2 p.m. until 4:30 p.m. at the library. Come by and see us. Call 945-9672. or visit www.worc.ky.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. Going straight to the phone lines as we promised. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, O.C.
Good morning, sir.
To the panel and the customs and all that stuff.
Good morning.
What I was calling about is that when you pick duty on an article coming in, that includes the shipping cost and everything, right?
That's correct, yes. Cost, insurance, and freight.
Yeah. Now, what what happens if you're getting free shipping? Because I order stuff sometimes and I don't have to pay for shipping. It's paid for by the people that are shipping it for me.
Yeah, according to law, it has to be charged on the shipping, and in that case, the couriers or the shipping agencies provide us with the costs for that purpose.
Okay, so there's someone there that will take care of that.
In most cases, you pay in shipping, sir. When they sell you goods, they sell it with cost and freight included. Just a little tip.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you say that then? Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
So
there are international terms for transportation of goods across borders, and there are Chamber of Commerce international trade terms. It is called cost, insurance, and freight, which is CIF, or cost and freight, which is C and F. And in most cases, when companies they advertise that
free shipping,
they're free shipping. They're included. Shipping is included in the cost of those goods. You just don't see it on your bill.
Right.
And the shipping companies will provide Customs and Border Control around international with costs of freight if necessary.
Caller, you happy with that?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go to the next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Oh, that caller has left us, so we're back to the discussion around the table. No, we can't yet. We had another question, and this one says, "Morning, OC. Just one question. Can the directors say if musical instruments are still duty-free?"
And the answer to that is yes, Mr. Connor. Musical instruments are duty-free. But I think Mr. Walton wanted to give an example of how people may be confused by that.
Precisely.
So we're talking about musical instruments.
Yeah. It's very important to understand that musical instruments, not new musical items, because of course you could have people who bring importing. I don't think they have CD players anymore. But you import a guitar, and the guitar comes with amplifier. The guitar is actually the duty-free item. It's included in the cost. That's allowed to pass the borders, duty-free. But you may import an amplifier. Otherwise, the amplifier itself is not duty-free. It's actually the guitar that's duty-free.
So the smart importer, if they want an amplifier, bring a guitar with it, right?
basically.
We have another caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I was listening to what the other gentleman said, and about if there's no delivery charge, no shipping charge, you still charge duty. How is that even possible? If there's no, people should be happy to pay for duty for the actual things that the goods. But if there's no delivery and there's proof, why do we have to pay for no
shipping? You're talking about the shipping charge, yeah.
Yeah, duties is charged on the shipping for goods arriving as well.
If it says zero cost to me to get it here.
Yes. As I said, the shipping company or the courier company in partnership, they provide Customs and Border Control with the cost of the freight, and the duties is applied accordingly.
Caller, could you give us an example of?
So for example, I order clothes sometimes from the UK. So it's zero delivery charge. So, I should be able to just pay for the goods, but why do I have to pay for delivery charge if there is none?
Is it delivery?
That's unreasonable.
Shipping.
Is it shipping or delivery you're talking about? Delivery, because delivery could be from the port to your home or to your business.
Delivery, like DHL or post.
Yeah. As I say, the law requires that duties are charged. And the key word is the law requires that duties is applied according to the cost of goods, insurance for shipping, and the shipping charges, which is the freight, CIF. And in those cases, if there's no freight paid by you, the shipping agency provides us with what the cost would have been to ship those goods from the UK to the Cayman Islands, and duties are applied according to that.
Okay.
But it's not fair that you all are able to apply whatever value you feel like. I mean, that's not right.
We're not applying it, madam. We're not applying it.
The other thing is, I requested some samples of some goods, just plain samples, and it was tiles, and it was a few little squares of tiles. That shipment got held up by customs for 6 days because they kept saying, "Oh, that I have to pay." The invoice said samples, and there was no charge. So, I mean, I knew I was supposed to pay warehousing or whatever, some kind of duty, but if it says zero value, it's of no value of someone to someone, other people but me, to have little color samples of these things. And they held it up for 6 days, and then the people in your office don't answer the phones, and then they just give you the runaround. They don't call you back. I mean, it's terrible. Anyway,
what was the final result on those tiles? Did you eventually have to pay on the value of them?
Oh, I had to pay duty. No, I mean, I literally had to call everybody I could possibly call. I didn't want to. I mean, I spoke to about 5 people for about 6 days. Every day.
You said there were tile samples, or one of each?
Yeah, 5 little tile samples.
Yeah, 5.
One of each.
Yeah, well, sample goods, not of no commercial value, are duty free. So I am not too sure exactly what. Well, I guess you're telling me you had 5 tiles. They should have been duty free.
And they said that they were going to open them. I said, go ahead and open them. There's no value to anybody but me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Again,
I found the service to be apparent.
Yeah, and I would say this much to you, ma'am, that we are dealing with over 300,000 imports a year. Yeah, and that's a lot of imports. And sometimes it's hard to get people because we are helping other individuals. And that in itself is a delay in just getting to us. If you want to send me, madam, your information as it relates to your import, I'll be kind to look after it for you. You can send it to me at kevin.walton@gov.ky, and I'll investigate it further. Please attach the invoices and what you paid customs, please,
right,
and I'll look into it for you.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
And I just wanted to give
thank
the caller for that as well, because of course we don't want to hear compliments. We want to hear where customers have complaints so that we can address them. And as Mr. Walton has asked the caller to send information to him, we're keen to review that, because if she was charged duty in circumstances in which she should not have been charged duty, then she's entitled to a refund of that duty. Yes. And we do refunds because it happens from time to time. So we'd very much like to look at that case. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, very good. See? Things work. Okay.
And sometimes when they don't work, we try our best to fix them. Right?
And the tariff is quite huge. I mean, we got almost 5,600 tariffs, codes in our tariff itself. And sometimes, human error, things could happen. And I would like to see exactly how it ended up that she paid on samples, because samples are of no commercial value, are duty free. But it should only be one of each.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would like to also reiterate that, the perception that the Customs and Border Control Service is the one that's actually setting the duty rates is not correct. Those rates are set in law, the Customs tariff law, and we're here simply to enforce that law.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. The one that seemed to perplex some of our callers was the shipping. If something, they believe, they're of the opinion that they didn't pay any shipping costs.
Yes.
And your interpretation of the law is that there has to be some cost to shipping, and if you haven't paid it, there's still a value to that shipping, and you charge the duties on that value.
And we charge that duty on the cost, insurance, and the freight according to law, because it's a legal requirement.
Right.
And I think it's
not discretionary.
Right. So, and I think it's important for people to also realize that, and we hear this saying all the time, there's no free lunch. So somebody's paying for that shipping and freight cost. And what Mr. Walton was pointing out is we have that information available to us.
Yes.
So whether the customer has paid that or not, or whether they believe they've paid it or not, is immaterial. We're still required by law to charge duty on cost, insurance, and freight.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
And then, as I said, in most cases, that's a marketing strategy that a lot of companies use and say no shipping included when it's actually included into the cost of the goods.
Okay. We have 2 callers. I believe that we will be able to accommodate one caller before we go to the break. The other caller we're going to ask them to hold on. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Orrett Connor.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Okay, and good morning to you guys.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, you all in charge of when it comes to safety precautions, that people aren't allowed to get on our airplanes like the terrorists did in 9/11?
Well, that's a separate function. That's actually a security function that's handled by the airport security operation. Of course, we work closely with them as well, but it's not our primary responsibility.
Oh, another question.
Yes,
do
sir.
Do we have air marshals on Cayman Airways?
Well, I'm not in a position to answer that. Actually, that would be a matter for the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service to address.
And if they did, they would never reveal it to the public. Right. It would never be revealed to the public, caller.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Let's take a commercial break, caller. The one that's hanging on, please hang in there. Quick commercial break. When we return, we will take your call.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
Your sale, your choice at Vat Motors is back. With the best Christmas sale on the rock, you can save, upgrade, or get cash back on new Fords and Toyotas, SUVs and trucks.
It is your sale, your choice at Vamp Motors. Save big on the new Ford Explorer, F-150, Edge, EcoSport, and Focus with up to $6,000 off select vehicles during December. Get huge savings on the Toyota RAV4, Rush, and Fortuner as well. Best of all, you decide if you'll take the full discount, get cash back, or upgrade your new ride. Vamp Motors. Drive home your Christmas wheels today.
Preventing dengue is as simple as preventing mosquito bites. Use a mosquito repellent, wear protective clothing, and stay indoors during early dawn and dusk when mosquitoes are most active. Control the places around you where mosquitoes breed. Remove stagnant water in outdoor and household settings. As a weekly habit, persons should change the water in vases, clear the water in saucers under potted plants, and ensure air conditioner drip trays are free of stagnant water. Outdoor objects capable of holding water should be kept empty and preferably disposed of or put into dry storage if not used. These include open bottles and tins, watering cans, buckets, empty paint tins, and old vehicle tires. Do your part to control the spread of dengue. The dengue virus is an infectious disease transmitted through mosquito bites. Symptoms may come on as early as 4 days or as late as 3 weeks following an infection. There is no vaccine or specific medication to treat dengue. Symptoms of dengue include high fever, headache, pain behind the eyes, joint and muscle pain, and rash. If persons have any of these symptoms, they should go to the nearest health center or hospital. It is advised to drink lots of liquids and avoid medication that contains aspirin. Are you an employer and would like another option to advertise your vacant position? Register with Work Jobs Cayman today and post your employment ad for Caymanians to see and apply. Contact Work on 945-9672 or visit www.worc.ky to get started today.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, we have Director of Customs and Border Control, Mr. Charles Clifford, and his Deputy Director, Mr. Kevin Walton. We have 3 callers and we have about 12 minutes before 9 o'clock. My 2 guests will be leaving at 9 o'clock, so I'm going to ask every caller to please be as brief as possible. Remember that there's someone queued up behind you as well. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello?
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Quick thing, I realized that on CCTV cameras, they're duty-free.
Yes.
But what I can get across, right, and a part of the tariff law does talk about it in some small degree, whereas 8525.40, where it's still image video cameras and other video camera recorders, that's also duty-free. What I can't get across is why isn't it a DVR that really only can work with cameras? Why isn't that duty-free? That's a video camera recorder.
Yeah, I can't remember the specifics of what the law says as it relates to the items, but the DVR itself is a recording device. Am I correct? It's not actually the camera itself.
Yeah, it's a recording device, but also it says that a video camera recorders, which is 0% for duty. So why isn't that duty-free if that's a video recording apparatus? Because if you search along the tariff tool in for video recording apparatus, you know, that's duty-free as well.
All right. Could you just... Michael Godfrey is our tariff expert at CBC. And I'm sure that Michael would be happy to look into what you're discussing, what you're identifying here. Would you be willing to send him an email or give us a call and I can connect you to Michael, who's our tariff expert. I'll put him that way because that's what he does, and statistics.
Yeah. And callers, let me just say that your call is timed too, because we are actually in the process now of reviewing the tariff law. Again, over the years we've done it. Sort of repeatedly over a couple of years. And what we do, because we don't, as I said earlier in the discussion, we don't make the laws, we simply enforce them. But what we do is to make recommendations to government for changes to the law. So the kind of stuff that you're raising with us now is important, and we can include that in our recommendations to government for the change of the law.
Yeah, that would be fair. I could understand that. There was one other incident that came up with me recently, right, where I imported a computer, it came damaged, and I had to send it back. I got all the paperwork filled up, the export form, everything, sent it back out, and I had to order another one, but the supplier didn't have one to replace that, so I had to get it from another vendor. It was exactly $105 less. I went to customs. I told them, look, I send this back out. Here's your paperwork. And the other one is coming as $105 less. Could you guys do instead of going through a lot of paperwork, could we do an internal swap here, there? I would forget about the $105 difference. They said, no, nothing is in place for that. So I had to go through and do a claim. And that's unnecessary paperwork for both you guys and me.
And we hear you, sir. But the way that the law operates, the law does not allow for any swap or into exchange for any goods based on damage or not of quality. It actually says that a refund has to be given for that specific items, and there are reasons why the law has been, put together under that.
Okay. Want to thank that caller. Let's take the next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm fine, sir. How are you?
Good morning.
Morning.
Good. Good morning, Mr. Clifford. Good morning, Mr. Walter.
Morning.
I just want to see if I can get some clarification so I can understand better something. You were talking about the shipping costs earlier, right? And how that's charged according to how much it would have cost, right? Which I can understand. So that's the total cost, to a consumer, right? But then it was acknowledged to. I'm sorry, I'm not sure which voice is whose. So
that's okay. That's okay.
But it was acknowledged that sometimes the free shipping is a ploy by the vendor when they're actually including shipping costs in their sale price, right? And so I'm thinking, if I'm paying $75 per pair of shoes from this vendor, right, and they're saying free shipping, in essence, basically what's probably happening behind the scenes is the shoes are costing them $50 is their price. $25 is shipping, let's just say, as an example, right? But they're charging the full $75 to me as a consumer, right? So in essence, I am paying for the shipping. But then it gets here in Cayman, and I'm charged on the $75, which includes the $25 shipping, even though it's not specified, right? And then I gotta pay additional on what the shipping would have cost separate. So I'm paying twice on shipping. If that's the case, you see what I'm saying? If it's free shipping from a vendor, I don't know of any vendor who would just pay, who would suck up the shipping costs, right, for real, and then put that in their red column. You know what I'm saying? I believe that what was acknowledged is true, that it's included in part of their sale price.
Okay.
Yeah, and caller, I understand what you're saying, but until the law is changed, to say that when shipping is included in the cost of goods, when they're free shipping for goods, that there will be no application of tariffs on the shipping costs. Until that has been done, as the director said, we're here to enforce the law. We don't make the laws.
Okay. I want to thank that caller. Just one question in relation to that then. Is it a situation where if you see that this is something that happens repeatedly, that you would make recommendations in terms of what you're looking at now as far as the amendments to the customs law?
Yes, absolutely. And we've made some recommendations already. In fact, there are some changes coming up to the law sometime in the early part of the new year. Whether we can get some of these changes that we're talking about now incorporated in that, I'm not sure. But when we initially embarked on this merger, you will remember that we set up the legislation for it. And what we said at that time was that we fully anticipated that over the next year and a half, we would need to make further improvements to the law in order to strengthen it. But we were working with a compressed time frame. Mm-hmm. We needed the legislation in order to give us the necessary powers. So we had to have it in place. But we recognize we have to make improvements along the way.
Mm-hmm. Okay, because a lot of the messages that we're getting coming in now is in relation to that whole duty on shipping when shipping is not included.
It would call for a change in legislation. That's the in answer there with that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're going to take our last caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Oh, there's two more. So, caller, I'm going to ask you to be as brief as possible because 4 minutes, 2 callers.
I've been waiting a long time.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, good morning, all.
Good morning, ma'am.
I have to endorse the recommendation for, or if it hasn't been followed the way I'm going to see it, I would like that to be done. Mm-hmm. It's really ridiculous. They say we don't pay taxes on things in Cayman. We pay taxes through our eyes, nose, mouth, and everything, on everything that we get in here practically. We pay 22% tax on whatever we import, and it's most unfair. Even though the law says that, that's the law that needs to be amended and enforced.
Yeah.
It's really unfair when you have to turn around and pay 22% tax on the postage and insurance too, and then turn around and have to pay a courier to try and collect it from customs for you or whatever. This is why the cost of living in Cayman is so ridiculously high, and it's affecting all of us poor Caymanians. Why the hell don't they put this on these people that are millionaires, that they're giving concessions and waivers the fees to, that can afford it? Or like this new hotel that's going up by Beach Bay and all these other condos. Make them pay 25% taxes on everything they import, plus their postage and insurance too, until the law is amended. If it ever does get amended to exclude the insurance and postage. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you very much, caller.
And I just want to say this free shipping thing is a new marketing strategy that used by a lot of these companies, and it's something that's new internationally. And Customs internationally is having to deal with this.
It, not just here.
But I must say to the caller, there's a lot of items that are duty-free as well. There's a lot of food items that are duty-free, and there's a lot of items that are reduced, less than 22%. So imports on goods arriving here is a very, yes, it's 22%, and most items like clothing and building material now is gone down to 15%. So
we want to grab the last caller. Okay. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to your guest there.
We're getting an echo from you. We're getting an echo. You may want to come off your speakerphone if you are on it, caller.
Calling about, again, like the caller said earlier about the cameras, parts. And, I'm in the water sports industry, and I don't know, maybe they can explain to us. We get the goggles for duty free, but the snorkel is
eyewear.
Is free. Is because it's eyewear. But yes. The eyewears are duty free, but the snorkel is charged. I mean, the snorkel not good with the goggles.
And I do agree with you, ma'am, is the way that the law is written as it relates to eyewear. However, if it's one cost and the goggle is the main item, yes.
Because when we purchase them overseas, we purchase them as a set.
Yes.
But when we get them here, then they break them, then they charge us. They break down the price, and I sometimes we don't have the breakdown price as to how much each individual costs. Then we have to go back then to the vendors and let them do a breakdown as if they were purchased separate, but we buy them together as a set.
Well, the tariff should be we use what you call characteristics. So if the items' characteristics override the other items, for example, the goggle itself, we will allow the duty free based on the characteristics of the goods. But if it's broken down in cost separately, the duties are charged on the snorkels. This is another item, another thing that we would want. If she wants to call in, and we can have a further discussion on this, I can actually connect her with Mr. Michael Godfrey. If she doesn't get in contact with me, she can ask to speak directly to Mr. Michael Godfrey, who's our tariff. Yeah?
Okay.
Okay, I'll give him a call, because they say, if you give it duty free or if you charge, as I said, sometimes they don't come together as a separate items, unless you order them separate, but most of them come together as a set.
Yeah, we'd like to look into that further.
You could actually send Mr. Michael Godfrey an email. He's as Mr. Walton indicated, he's the employee in our department who's coordinating all the recommendations in relation to the tariff law. So michael.godfrey@gov.ky.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, caller.
I guess Michael is listening.
Giving him all the work today.
These guys are giving me more work here now.
Okay, we're past the hour for headline news, but Ms. Susan, they're going to be leaving at 9 o'clock, so I want to give them an opportunity for some closing comments.
Thank you very much, OC, and thank you again for having us on the program this morning. There are two other issues we wanted to touch on briefly, but we kind of ran out of time. But I want to say quickly that we are engaged now in a recruitment drive, so we are inviting applications for Customs and Border Control officers. I want to encourage as many people as would desire to do so to join our organization. There's a process. This is a law enforcement agency. So not only do we go through the normal recruitment process with interviews, etc., and some testing, but we also need to do background checks on individuals for obvious reasons. So that process is ongoing now. I'm encouraging people to apply. And then the other issue I wanted to touch on is the merger. We have the initial part of the merger out of the way, so the rebranding, the new uniforms is all in place. The new legislation is in place. I mentioned that earlier. From the time we embarked on this, I indicated that the operational merger itself is a multi-year project. Every other jurisdiction that has undertaken such a merger has taken many years to complete it. We don't expect the experience in Cayman to be any different. We think that while Cayman is smaller, the issues that we will encounter are similar to what have been encountered in larger countries. We're just dealing with it on a smaller scale. So what we've done now that we've gotten the initial phase one of the merger out of the way, we have recently embarked on preparing a 5-year strategic plan, which will now clearly outline the primary objective that I mentioned early on in the discussion, and that is transitioning the department from what it is now, which is sort of embracing before the gatekeepers approach, moving now to the modern approach, which is an intelligence-led risk management organization. So a 5-year plan, it'll very clearly lay out the strategic objectives, the action plans that it's going to take to deliver those objectives, timelines, and who's accountable for delivering what and when. We hope to roll that out sometime in the first quarter of 2020. So that's sort of the plan for the next 5 years for CBC. With that said, I'll just close off by wishing you again and your audience a very Merry Christmas, and I hope that it's a safe one for everyone.
Okay, and the same to you as well, and to Mr. Walton and his family, and to the whole Customs and Border Control family as well. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back immediately after headline news.
Okay.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have here on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice. For today's biggest news.
Access to information.
Local, regional, international, this is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
David Shibley of Georgetown is the grand prize winner of the 24th Rotary Central Music Extravaganza held on Cayman Thanksgiving Day, November 30th, at the Royal Palms Beach Club. Rotary Central President Colin Fawkes handed Mr. Shibley a check for 40,000 CI dollars under Sundown Skies at Royal Palms on Wednesday. Good morning, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines in news elsewhere. Reconnaissance flights over New Zealand's White Island volcano have not identified any survivors there after this morning's eruption, police say. Up to 50 people were believed to be on the island. 5 people are known to have died and 23 were rescued. Police said they believed that anyone who could have been found alive had been evacuated. Tourists were seen walking inside the crater of White Island volcano moments before it erupted. And I grew up in a world where a woman who looks like me with my kind of skin and my kind of hair was never considered to be beautiful. I think that it's time that stops today. That's the message from newly crowned Miss Universe, Zozibini Tunzi, who is from South Africa. More than 90 women from across the world took part in the pageant, which was held in Atlanta in the U.S. on Sunday. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. The Director of Customs and Border Control and his deputy, they have left the studio now, so I'm here all by myself. We're going to have an open line if you have any questions, but please don't make it a Customs and Border Control question, because I don't know too much about that. I mean, all immigration stuff, yeah, I can talk about that a little bit, but other than that, but if you do have any comments in relation to it, I'm sure that when they get in their vehicles that they will continue to listen to For the Record as well. Some other things to talk about. Let's, Miss Universe 2019. Those of you who watched the Miss Universe contest want to congratulate Miss South Africa for winning that title. I think her name is Zozibini Tunzi, yeah. Zozibini Tunzi. She won the Miss Universe contest, and big question, who was the first Black Miss Universe winner? And when I Google that, I see the name that comes up here, someone by the name of Janelle Penny Comizong, born 15th of June, 1953, Trinidadian politician. She is now a Trinidadian politician, model, and beauty queen. And her biography in relation to that. And then I see something else here. This is Miss World, even though I'm talking about Miss Universe, but Miss World, Jennifer Josephine Hostin won the Miss World title in 1970. She was the first woman, black woman from Grenada, and the first woman of African ancestry to hold the crown. That was in 1970. Miss World, that is Jennifer Hostin. And 1977, Miss Universe, first African American Miss Universe, Miss Comisong. She won it in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. When she was in New York, she studied fashion at the Fashion Institute of Technology, FIT, but returned to Port of Spain in 1976. The following year, Comisong was selected to represent the island in the 1977 Miss Universe competition in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. She was elected as Miss Photogenic 4 days before the final, becoming the first black woman to win these awards in Miss Universe history. On July the 16th, in the National Theater of Santo Domingo, Comisong was crowned Miss Universe, attracting international attention as the first black winner in the chronology of Miss Universe. During her reign, she was an advocate for black rights and world peace. Comisong was awarded the Trinity Cross, the country's highest award, in 1977. 3 postage stamps were also issued in her honor. Comisong was named chair of the newly formed Tourism Trinidad Destination Management Company in October of 2017. From 2012 to 2015, she had served as a vice chair of its predecessor agency, the Tourism Development Company. She married Brian Bowen, founder of Bowen Marine, who died in an accident in November of 1989. After his death, she married businessman Alwyn Chow. She studied at Bishop Ainsley High School as well. So, first Miss World of African descent, born in Grenada, Jennifer Hostin. First Miss Universe of African descent, Penny Comisong, born June 15th, 1953, crowned Janelle Comisong. And she was crowned Miss Universe in the Dominican Republic in 1977. I think these are names and dates that we should all remember and we should all be proud of as well. Switching gears. Just not like an automatic vehicle, but like one of manual transmission. Do you know there are a lot of people who know how to drive manual transmission cars? In my day and age, when I was growing up, I learned to drive on a Volkswagen Beetle, right behind it's in front of the mango tree, and because the gas station, which is now, I believe, a real estate agency, or where that houses a real estate agency. That was Mike's gas station at the time. He, along with, I think it would have been Don Dice, they brought in Volkswagen vehicles that they rented. I worked up there. My good buddy, next door neighbor, Norman Williams, as well. We worked there. Actually, we had our first car crash together too in that area. And so that's how I learned to drive on a standard transmission, because we had to wash the vehicles, so we had to move them from one spot to the other. but not a lot of people know how to drive a standard transmission car these days. But I'm switching gears now using manual transmission, and we're going to the Cayman Islands this day and time, December the 9th, 1965. What happened in those days? 1965, the late James MacDonald and his wife celebrated their 25th wedding anniversary, as reported in the Tradewinds newspaper. And of course, that probably gained prominence simply because Mr. James MacDonald was one of the financial backers of Mr. Billabodden when he ventured to start publishing the Tradewinds newspaper. And you would have heard me say that before. Mr. James MacDonald, along with Mr. Arthur Bawden, were the two backers of that. Telephone lines progressing in that same edition of the newspaper. And there's a photograph of a gentleman digging a trench to run the phone lines. And it says here, it reads, the picture shown was taken on the morning of the beginning of the trench for the underground telephone cable, which will soon be bringing telephone services into the Cayman Islands for the use of the general public. Now, this gentleman was not operating a backhoe. He wasn't operating a mechanical trencher. He was operating a manual trencher, which was using his 2 arms, his 2 feet, and a pickaxe. So in 1965, it seemed as if backhoes were not yet introduced into the Cayman Islands. I can tell you this, though, that when they were introduced, they were in high demand. They were pioneers in the backhoe industry. Here I go again. I'm going to call a name, and then somebody else is going to say, well, this one had one before that one. And I welcome those calls or those WhatsApp messages when I mention the fact that certainly Mr. Hector Whitaker had a backhoe, and his services were in great demand. I'm not sure whether or not that occurred in the 70s or when, but certainly we know that in 1965, the trenching was done by hand, using elbow grease to get it done as well. Other operators, renowned operators of backhoes in the Cayman Islands, Big Joe, he operated his, and I have to declare an interest here, but Jack Ebanks, who worked for one of the big construction companies in the Cayman Islands, he owned and operated a backhoe as well. And like I said, I'm sure that I'm going to miss a few, but if you do have names, please share them with me, and I will certainly announce them on the radio as well. Another issue, and this one, again, I want to show you where we came from, how far we have come. In the Tradewinds newspaper, it was announced that, what did it say here? My system is running a little bit slow. Due to the greatly increased load conditions at the power plant, which have occurred on Saturday evening since the commencement of our 1965-1966 tourist season, there have been 2 electricity failures affecting the western part of the island of Grand Cayman. The undertaking informs us these failures are due to the pre-functioning of load safety controls, which were originally set by the manufacturer, and these now require recalibration to suit extra load and heat conditions prevailing. Every effort is being made to prevent a recurrence of the blackouts. The undertaking also expresses deep regret for inconvenience caused by its consumers. And of course, the undertaking those days was the power company, and the manager of that power company at that time was Mr. B.O. Julia. But again, the point here is increased load, that increased demand on capacity was coming from the western end of the island. And as you know, that is where the first development of the tourism industry took place. So you would have had the Galleon Beach Hotel there. You would have had some rich Americans with their homes built on that end of the island as well. And that was one of the reasons for the high demand on power electricity, causing blackouts as well. What else did we have in that edition? Says this picture shows the runabout, now owned by Tom Hubble, on board the Panamanian ship with some 13 cars, which it delivered this week. So there was a runabout that was brought in by Tom Hubble, and 13 cars delivered this week. 13 cars delivered in 1 week in 1965. And where are we today? Last week, one of our listeners sent me a WhatsApp and said 4,800 cars imported into the Cayman Islands in 2018, and we can expect the figure to be higher in 2019. So 1965, one shipment, including a runabout or runaround by Tom Hubble, 13 cars imported, came in on a Panamanian ship to the Cayman Islands. I believe I have to take a commercial break now, Miss Susan, or continue on? Yeah, I can't. A break. Time for a break. Miss Susan says she's going to put the tamarind switch on me if I don't take that break. So I been a long time since I've had a tamarind switch used on me. So I'm going to go to the break. Don't want that tamarind switch. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly. And if you don't know what a tamarind switch is, we'll explain that to you too.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
You can't wear that dress to the party.
But why?
I said you're not wearing that.
Why don't you make more money? We can't go away for the holidays because of you.
Domestic violence isn't just physical. It's verbal, emotional, sexual, and psychological abuse. To understand the signs of domestic abuse, visit the Cayman Islands Crisis Center website at cicc.ky. If you or someone you know is suffering from domestic abuse, call our 24-hour crisis line at 943-2422. We believe you. We can help you. The Crisis Center also provides a 24/7 safe shelter for women and children. And for all victims of abuse, men, women, and children, Estella's Place is a walk-in center on Eastern Avenue, ready to help you. Visit cicc.ky for more information. And remember, love shouldn't hurt.
Support our tourism.
Did you know that there will be no impact to 7 Mile Beach and no dredging in Hogstye Bay for the cruise berthing and cargo port project? Any potential damage to 7 Mile Beach was, is, and always will be a deal breaker for government. If there was any evidence that 7 Mile Beach would be harmed, the project would be stopped, regardless of how far it's gone. Truth matters. Know the facts. Visit supportourtourism.com for accurate information.
Support our tourism.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio. Open line for you to call in if you want to. Meanwhile, I will share what was published in the Tradewinds newspaper on the 9th of December, 1965. And before we went to the commercial break, talking about this Panamanian registered ship that came to the Cayman Islands to deliver, amongst other things, a runabout owned by Mr. Tom Hubble, along with 13 other cars. And the article goes on to say that while endeavoring to offload a twin-engine fishing launch for Mr. Tom Hubble on Tuesday last, so the runabout that we was spoken about was actually a twin-engine fishing launch for Tom Hubble. Says the Panamanian ship recently in port nearly met her end on the rocks. The captain had planned to winch the anchor line to draw away from the dock without using her engine, without using her engine far enough to launch the runabout off her stern. Into the water whilst holding the ship in place by the stern lines into the dock. However, the anchor dragged, which placed the ship in a very precarious position, causing it to touch the Kirko and then the rocks in the harbor. The engineers were ashore. But those on board managed to start the engines and get the vessel off the rocks before serious damage resulted. They then drew into deeper water and completed the launch. So they were trying to launch Tom Hubble's runabout and encountered some difficulties. Of course, 1965, we had what was then the semblance of a dock, but nothing that we could write home about as well. And this vessel was probably on the other side where there were more rocks, and of course the Kirko would have probably been on the side where there was a small dock. And of course we know the story in relation to that, Mr. Berkeley Bush and his endeavor to build a dock at the Georgetown harbor there, the resistance that he received in that regard. But at the end of the day, we ended up with one, and here we are today as well. Caller on line, let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm very well, very thankful. OC, I'm calling this morning to see how good and how pleasant it was to listen to a level of debate in the House on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I have never been more proud of my legislature like I was listening to that debate. The level of the debate, like I said, was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
They were debating in respect of the constitutional changes.
Yes.
And I think that the Premier should be very proud of himself for managing to negotiate. And as I think one or two of the speakers from the opposition side said, taking the bold step that he did was very good. I mean, you got to. We beat the government up when they do wrong, but we should encourage and say the truth when they do good. And the level of debate between the government members and the opposition, and obviously the member from Northside, was was very, very good. It was very, very encouraging, and I just hope that we can find unity like we did in that debate in a lot of other aspects. But it was very encouraging. Very, very encouraging.
Yeah, caller, what seemed to have worked also was the fact that the Premier was prepared to listen to the concerns that other members had, be they the opposition or otherwise, to sit with them, discuss those concerns, and I believe that is one of the reasons why they were able to find common ground at the end of the day.
I think, again, like I said, kudos to the Premier. He did a phenomenal job in steering this through. And as you said, listening to the concerns of those that were involved in the process. And, they obviously went to England, properly briefed. They didn't go there shooting in the dark. So it's commendable. I think that it's a milestone for us, and we should all give him his praises where it's due, and the government and the
opposition, yes,
and the opposition. So that's what I'm calling it. I didn't call it anything negative this morning. Just call it just to show some positive light, and as we go towards the Christmas, let's not forget the reason for the season, because it has become so commercialized that it's not even funny. But let's remember the reason for the season and celebrate it in true form. Let us not drink and drive, and let us come together as one and fellowship in a true Caymanian style. Let's come together and fellowship.
Yes.
So, with that, I would like to wish the broader Cayman a very, very Merry Christmas when it gets here, and again, a prosperous and healthy New Year when it gets here as well. OC, thank you, and you have a good day.
Thank you very much, caller, and all the best and for the holiday season to you and your family as well. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Your sale, your choice at Fat Motors is back. With the best Christmas sale on the rock, you can save, upgrade, or get cash back on new Fords and Toyotas, SUVs and trucks.
It is your sale, your choice at Vamp Motors. Save big on the new Ford Explorer, F-150, Edge, EcoSport, and Focus with up to $6,000 off select vehicles during December. Get huge savings on the Toyota RAV4, Rush, and Fortuner as well. Best of all, you decide if you'll take the full discount, get cash back, or upgrade your new ride. Vamp Motors. Drive home your Christmas wheels today.
Hello, boys and girls. It's Christmas story time at the Redley Powery Library in West Bay. Saturday, December 14th, starting at 10:30 a.m. Rotary Central Christmas Story Time featuring Miss Izzy.
Hi, kids, and welcome to Story Time.
There'll be Christmas story readings, Christmas sing-along, Christmas dance-along, Christmas dressing up, Christmas cupcakes, Christmas snacks for the children. Remember, children must be accompanied by an adult. Christmas Story Time, a children's event sponsored by Rotary Central. Rotary, connecting the world.
Headlines.
With the latest headlines.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars.
Local, regional, international.
Turning
to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Are you a Caymanian job seeker and would like help finding full-time employment? Are you a Caymanian interested in gaining new skills or trade? Are you a Caymanian looking for training opportunities but don't know where to look? Let Work help. Register with Work Jobs Cayman today. Call 945-9672 or visit www.worc.ky to get started today.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio, so we have an open line for you to call in. Meanwhile, I will share with you excerpts from Tradewinds newspaper. I just want to again give credit. I have been privileged to have copies of the Tradewinds newspaper as a result of the generosity of Miss Joellen Thompson. And I do believe that Miss Joellen Thompson was able to have these because of Miss Ardith Smith. Miss Ardith Smith was correspondent for West Bay at one point in time for the Tradewinds newspaper. She worked in their office, and I believe someone mentioned to me the other day that she may have at one point in time run for a seat in the Legislative Assembly in the district of West Bay possibly as well. So we have the benefit of these newspapers as a result of that. Now, the closest that I can get you to the 9th of December, today's date, is the 8th of December, 1966. Now, originally I shared with you the 9th of December, 1965. So on the 8th of December, 1966, one of the featured articles in the Tradewinds newspaper is Administrator Opens Cable and Wireless. And it says that promptly at 11 o'clock Friday morning, His Honor the Administrator extended a warm welcome to Sir John and Lady Macpherson, mentioning briefly his accomplishments and those of Cable and Wireless, and then cut the strip of punched teletype tape across the doorway to formally open the new Georgetown offices and exchange of Cable and Wireless. The crowd then moved into the town hall while the official party led by Sir John Macpherson, chairman of Cable and Wireless, inspected the new offices, following which they assembled at the platform of the town hall with Sir John at the center, and to his left, His Honor the Administrator, Captain Eldon Colonel, MLA of Georgetown, Mr. Cradock Ebanks, MLA of Northside, and Mr. Anton Borden, MLA of Borden Town. And to his right, Mr. T.W. Farrington, MLA of West Bay, Mr. Warren Connolly, MLA of East End, Mr. Peter Forrestal, Project Manager of Cable and Wireless. Here, His Honor then introduced Sir John, remarking on this quote-unquote very important occasion in the history of our economic and social development in his Scottish burr. Sir John then related how happy he and his wife were to meet the people of the Cayman Islands after many years of expectation. He explained that he was presently visiting as many of the 86 Cable and Wireless branches in 55 countries all over the world as is possible, and that Cayman was the 12th station they were visiting in their 5-week tour. The newest and youngest branch in their 100-year history. So we were the newest, youngest branch in 1966. He made mention of the fact that Cayman was pioneering in the thin line scatter system linking these islands and Jamaica, the first systems of its kind to be commercially used anywhere in the world. So they had something then called what? Thin line scatter system. where have we reached now? 5G, I think it is, that, we're now talking about. So those days, we came a long way. We have come a long way. 1965, someone was digging the trenches using a pickaxe. December of 1966, they opened the cable and wireless offices right next to the Georgetown Town Hall at that time. What else happened in December of 1966? The legislature met for their budget session, fifth budget meeting of the fourth session of the Legislative Assembly opened on the 8th of December. It says, according to the agenda published, government notice number 155 dated the 3rd of December, the legislature will consider the Appropriations Bill 1966, which makes provisions to appropriate a sum of money for the services of the civil government for the period January 1st to December 31st, 1967. They will also consider the Liquor Licensing Amendment Bill 1966, which could remove the necessity for the administrator sitting as the chairman to approve licensing. So at that point in time, they were looking to change again the system where the administrator was everything and to assign responsibilities to others. And I will share a little bit more of that particular article with you as we go along. What else? This one is very important. Standing, Reverend John Gray, Reverend John Lord, sitting, Mrs. Isley Connolly, and His Honor the Administrator. The opening ceremony of the new building for the Cayman Government Secondary Grammar School was held in the evening of November 29th with Mrs. Isley Connolly, Director of Education, in the chair. His Honor the Administrator formally opened the building with the following speech. Madam Chair, Reverend Mr. Gray, the Honorable Mr. McMinney, the Honorable members of Executive Council and the Legislative Assembly, members of the staff and PTA of the Government Secondary School, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, most of us here this evening will remember that the government of these islands acquired the Cayman Islands High School from the then Presbyterian Church at the beginning of 1964. So some historical dates for you. 1964, at the beginning of 1964, the government of the Cayman Islands acquired the Cayman Islands High School from the Presbyterian Church. That is when the government took over the high school system, which was before that controlled, administered by the Presbyterian Church. It says, and that shortly thereafter, the school was renamed the Cayman Islands Government Secondary School, right? So we had the secondary school. Later on, we had the secondary, modern secondary grammar school, right? Say, there were, of course, sound reasons for this change of ownership, but I will not bore you by reporting these, because that chapter in the history of education in this territory was closed nearly 3 years ago. It is, however, pertinent to recall that the old Cayman High School enjoyed a sound reputation and that the government, as the new owner of the school, intended to maintain this reputation and to enhance it by reinforcing the graduate teaching staff and moving the school into a suitable new building. I'm going to pause there for a second and just talk about the graduate teaching staff, right, and moving the school into a suitable new building. We know that this particular occasion had to do with that opening of the new building. So that was done. But the whole idea of reinforcing the graduate teaching staff, it is important for people to remember some things about the history of education in the Cayman Islands, and that is that many of the teachers who came here and came mainly from the United Kingdom at that point in time, they were student teachers. They weren't necessarily qualified teachers. They were student teachers who came and volunteered. I believe in some instances it may have been students who graduated high school and were in their gap year. So while education in the Cayman Islands was progressing, we weren't necessarily getting the creme de la creme when it came to teachers, or some teachers in the Cayman Islands at that point in time. So one of the desires of the government was to reinforce that teacher training cadre that we had here in the Cayman Islands to better the educational system, at that point in time. Certainly was needed as well. He goes on to say, ladies and gentlemen, only a few of the government's most vociferous critics could have interpreted this intention as anything other than laudable. But unfortunately, the sincerity behind the government's express intention was both deeper than its purse and greater than its ability to recruit graduate staff to those in those early months of 1964. So the reason given was, right, while the government was sincere, the government didn't have the deep enough pockets or the deep enough purse to recruit graduate staff in the early months of 1964. Hence, what I've said to you earlier, that we relied on student teachers to teach. Now, while many of us embrace that opportunity and we gain knowledge, we learned, we weren't necessarily getting it from the sources that we should have been getting it from, because we didn't have graduate teachers. We had student teachers teaching us at that point in time. Where do we lay the blame for that? Well, one may say that the United Kingdom, which at that point in time we were what the taxman talks about, we were definitely a colony then in all respects. In all respects, we were a colony then. Did the UK place enough emphasis on education in the Cayman Islands? Folks, with that, I will take a commercial break, the last commercial break for the morning. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Hello, boys and girls. It's Christmas story time at the Redley Powery Library in West Bay. Saturday, December 14th, starting at 10:30 a.m. Rotary Central Christmas story time featuring Miss Izzy.
Hi, kid, and welcome to Story Time.
There'll be Christmas story readings, Christmas sing-along, Christmas dance-along, Christmas dressing up, Christmas cupcakes, Christmas snacks for the children. Remember, children must be accompanied by an adult. Christmas Story Time, a children's event sponsored by Rotary Central. Rotary, connecting the world.
Starting November 1st to December 31st, you can earn double points every time you use your Fidelity credit or prepaid cards. And with added protection of instant text alerts, 90-day purchase protection, and chip and PIN technology, you can shop with confidence. Fidelity. We're good for you.
Ho, ho, ho from Savannah Pharmacy. Get a head start on your Christmas planning with a 50% sale on select gifts and decorations, including ornaments, Christmas table accessories, and gift certificates are also available for that hard-to-shop person in your life. Ho, ho, ho! Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Park your car this New Year's Eve and ride the Purple Ribbon Bus. It's free. Be safe and drink responsibly.
Arrive alive 345. Take the pledge, designate a driver, or ride the Purple Ribbon Bus on New Year's Eve. This message is brought to you by the National Drug Council and Radio Cayman.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're on the last leg of the show this morning, and I'm going to end by sharing the last part of this article from the Trade Winds publication, the 8th of December 1966. Had to do with the opening of the secondary school in the Cayman Islands after the government in 1964 took over secondary education from the Presbyterian Church. And the administrator at that time, Mr. John Comber, spoke about the fact that, he says, my arrival in Grand Cayman on first appointment occurred shortly after the appearance on the school notice board of a notice which read, under new management. I was, I think, signed, it was, I think, signed by the acting administrator, and bear with me because I have to scroll down to page 10 to get the remainder of this. Going down to page 10, scrolling down to page 10. Here we go. I'm on page 9 now. Page 10 coming up. Here we are. And it says, signed by the acting administrator, who was also one of the elders of the Presbyterian Church at that propitious time. Perhaps, like me, you have sometimes wondered whether the ownership of the school was transferred from the right hand into the left hand or from the left hand into the right hand. That's interesting. You say, be that as it may, I first set eyes on the notice when visiting the Public Works Department yard and the old school building during my initial inspection of the government's immovable assets. Now, again, I'm going to pause for a second and say that Public Works and the government building, that would have been all behind the library, the Georgetown Library that is still there. That is where the school was. That is where the Public Works were at the time as well. He says, by then, however, some wag had stuck it on the door of the Public Works Superintendent's office. Mr. Tibbetts, that would have been Mr. Esther Tibbetts, was with me at the time, and even today I am uncertain whether the expression on his face reflected relief, apprehension, or unjustifiable indignation. I vaguely remember, however, that he uttered a few unintelligible words before directing me to Mr. Gray's school across the Public Works Department yard, where a game of football appeared to be in progress between some members of the school team and a rumbling bulldozer supported by a clanking tracks cavator or goalkeeper. So those days you had to play football and compete with the bulldozers for the same space because, like I said before, Public Works and the school all located on the same compound. He goes on to say, my first impression of the old school buildings was unforgivable to say the least, and it came as no surprise to learn that the public shared the government's desire to provide the school with a new building where with adequate staff and equipment, it could evolve into a first-class secondary grammar school compared with the best in the West Indies. He goes on to say, ladies and gentlemen, I think it was obvious to all of us that those old World War II naval buildings were wholly unsuitable premises for a secondary school. Neither the staff nor the public could be expected to produce their best results in an environment which was synonymous with overcrowding, structural decay, and the roar of powerful international combustion engines. Perhaps Mr. Gray found conditions in the galleries of a mind more conducive to tuition and study than those prevailing in the old school buildings. But either way, great credit is due to him and his staff and pupils for coping with these deplorable conditions for so long. His Honor then related the good fortune of the islands in securing the services of graduates, both Caymanians and from volunteer organizations, which helped greatly, even though the volunteers were largely expatriate and were only here for short periods, and in solving the financial problems through a generous grant of £40,000 from CD. I think that would be Caribbean Development, and CD&W, which enabled the securing of sites in Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac and the building of 2 new secondary schools. He complimented the Department of Public Works and the Public Works Department building team, and particularly Messrs. Michael Griffiths, James Ebanks, Liston Ebanks, Verwood Green, Orrett Connor, Brent Bush, Bernard Watler, Lawrence Ebanks, Frank Martinez, and Robert Alley. He urged the students to take pride in their new building and the challenges of education while pointing out that no school is better than its pupils. He says following that, he declared the school building open and wished success and happiness to everyone. I want to read some of those names again. I'm not sure who Michael Griffiths were, not a Caymanian last name to my knowledge. James Ebanks, Liston Ebanks, Verwood Green, Freddie Connor, Brent Bush, Bernard Watler, Lawrence Ebanks, Frank Martinez, and Robert Alley, all Caymanians who were in the construction industry at the time, working for the Public Works Department, and they built the school. Now, so here we come from a £40,000 grant, and they say it was a generous grant. Well, we were a crown colony. The British government had no other option but to support us in that venture. Of course, things are a little bit different, much different today in that regard. But we went from a £40,000 grant to build a school, to acquire properties in Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac to build schools as well, to where we are now, where we have close to $100 million high school and other buildings as well. So we've come a long way, baby. Some may say we got a little push from the UK. Some may say that push was not good enough, was not big enough, but we're able now to generate things on our own. That is why it is so important that the Cayman Islands remain a robust, a harmonious destination from a political as well as an economic standpoint, because without that, we will not continue to prosper. And that is why I want to welcome again the last caller that we had in relation to his comments about the demeanor of our legislators in our legislative assembly when it came to debating the constitutional amendments, and the fact that they were able to find common ground on certain issues, and those issues that they had differences on, set them aside for another time, let them come into effect at another time when they can be dealt with. So important that we continue to have a harmonious relationship here in the Cayman Islands, not only amongst legislators, but amongst all of us who reside here, who call these Cayman Islands home. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers, and I'm going to add a little bit more to it today. We would like to see more random acts of kindness during this holiday season as well, because we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to Worthy Charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want, or even those who crave. I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dwayne Banks at 12:15 for Talk today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Rotary Central, for more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. Fidelity Bank, for all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you. And Roper's Janitorial, complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time.